Mr. Bennati, or what do you think about the situation in pigs industry in Europe? It looks really atrocious. What happens? Pigs are castrated live, they're docked live. What can be changed and how we can inform the citizens about it?
The information we collect with our investigations say that the directive is not enforced and the condition of millions of animals it's really poor. We find animal dead, we find animal with sick, we find mutilation with the teeth clipping, tail docking, egg castration without anesthesia and analgesia. All this kind of practice, all this kind of mutilation are unacceptable under the EU legislation and are unacceptable for the volunteers of the citizen.
But the problem is that the farmers don't respect, especially small farmers, they don't respect the current legislation. How a Commission can reinforce it?
But it's useful that Commission give tools to improve the condition of the animals, but now it's time for a procedure of infringement towards member states and towards farmers, because if they don't respect the animals, they breach the legislation, and also they take money under the cap for respect the animals and for respect the condition of the legislation. This is unacceptable, and now it's important that the European Commission move to infringement procedure.
And Hazekamp, how can you explain this awful situation with raising our pork in industrial way in Europe? How come that in spite of Lisbon Treaty, there are so awful cruel practices that are exercised on very, very tiny piglets?
Yes, it's amazing what is happening in this industry. I think this is a sick industry. We keep giving them money to go from one crisis to another, and just because they want to keep the prices as low as possible. I think this whole pig meat sector is bankrupt. We have to face it. It is impossible to treat animals in a way they should be treated and then produce pork meat for the world. It's impossible. We can't keep doing this. This industry is only focused on producing massive amounts of cheap and cheaper meat, and that's we can't continue.
It's clear that the consumer is not well aware in Europe of what happens in the industry, because there is very little information, and people are usually sure that Europe protects animals. So what as an MEP you can do to ensure that every buyer of our pork is aware what awful sadistic practices were used to produce this meat?
Well, to show the images and to let consumers know what we hear from animal welfare organizations around the world about how animals are treated. And furthermore, we need to push for clear and correct information on the package of on the meat. Consumers should know, they have the right to know where the meat is coming from, where the product is coming from, and how it is produced.
And Hazekamp, it's deplorable that Germany, as a pillar of the European Union, has 90% of pigs produced with these cruel practices of castration live, docking live. How can you explain it?
Well, that's the amazing thing. A lot of countries don't comply with the European legislation, and Europe is not doing anything. And apparently it is profitable for them to keep continuing these terrible practices of castrating and tail docking of small piglets without the government saying them to stop.
Do you think that there is a lack of action from the behalf of European Commission? So,
yes, sorry, definitely. We waited 20 years for some activity from the European Commission on routine tail docking. yesterday there was a recommendation on how piglets should be kept to prevent tail docking, but in the meantime, 20 years ago it was banned. And why, after 20 years, we get now recommendations which are not even legally binding? It's impossible.
Anja, why recommendations? Why not a law?
Yeah, that's what I wonder. After so many time, we know that the industry is not going to change by itself. So a law and a ban on these things are inevitable. It's the only way to make sure that this is not no longer happening in our industry.
Monsieur Marie, qu'est-ce que vous pensez de la situation avec l'élevage industriel des cochons en Union européenne?
Alors, le gros problème, en fait, c'est que typiquement, l'élevage de cochons concentre toutes les souffrances de la naissance jusqu'à la mort. Là, on a vu aujourd'hui au niveau du Parlement européen une présentation sur les mutilations faites aux porcelets, donc les castrations à vif notamment, la coupe de la queue aussi, le meulage des dents. Enfin, il y a toute une multiplication d'horreurs et de souffrances pour ces animaux, pour leurs mères aussi, parce que les mères sont enfermées dans des cages pour soi-disant ne pas écraser leurs petits, mais en fait, c'est dans des conditions absolument épouvantables. Des animaux qui, au départ, ont des besoins biologiques très spécifiques. Ils ont besoin de creuser, d'être dans la terre. On le voit, des cochons en liberté, ils prennent des bains de boue, etc. Donc, évidemment, en bâtiment sur caillebotis, on ne répond pas aux besoins biologiques de ces animaux et on les conditionne vraiment. Enfin, c'est absolument épouvantable et on n'a pas le droit d'effectuer tous ces actes de maltraitance parce que les élevages tels qu'ils sont aujourd'hui au sein de l'Union européenne et notamment en France ne sont pas acceptables, ne sont pas éthiquement recevables parce qu'on parle d'éthique généralement, on parle aussi de bien-être animal. Et bien là, il n'y a aucun bien-être animal, il n'y a aucune éthique d'élever ces animaux dans ces conditions et il faut y mettre un terme. En France, on a un problème particulier, c'est qu'il y a eu un allègement du régime d'enregistrement des élevages. On peut aller jusqu'à 2000 cochons en bâtiment sans avoir d'autorisation particulière, mais simplement un enregistrement en préfecture. Donc c'est totalement inacceptable et ça ne va faire qu'encourager ce mode d'élevage.